And then the other part of it is, when you look at the Green Festival itself, how does that evolve, say, in the next 5 years or so? Where does that go? Is there plans to take it international, global?
The big problem is, just like our individual companies, we're undercapitalized. It's a nonprofit operation. We've never gotten 1 penny of foundation grant money, which, I'm thinking we need to go to these foundations and say, look, we've done 10 years. We've had over 1 million customers come through the doors. We've done this in a whole bunch of different cities. It's been very successful. Give us some money to expand, because give me the alcohol budget of the World Bank. The money that they spend on cocktails, or the money they spend on first class airfare instead of coach airfare for their staff. Things like that. We could expand. We could be in every city, because in every city there are a number of green and fair trade companies. They're not big enough individually to put on a big event or to create an eco mall. But if you have enough money to create the space for them so that they're just paying for that little space that they need, it then becomes affordable. We've surveyed our Green Festival companies. They all say the same thing. We're undercapitalized. And that's the fundamental problem in the economy. Capital is concentrated up in the top tier, and it needs to be pushed down. Jim Hightower says, capital is like cow manure. If you concentrate it in a big pile, it stinks. If you spread it out evenly, it makes things grow. So capital is cow manure, and what we're about is, how do we get the capital down to the grassroots?
Very well said. So earlier you mentioned about the Green Economy Center, and when I was surfing, I looked at that, the plans for that. But for the benefit of our viewers, can you tell us what is it, that the Green Economy Center proposal is about?
Sure. So imagine that you walk into a ground floor retail of a big space, like a mall, and you've got Dr. Bronner's and Guyam and Ben & Jerry's. Ben & Jerry's just made an announcement that by 2013, all of their ingredients are going to be fair trade certified. That's over 100 ingredients, which is a massive, it's going to have just huge impact throughout the global south, where most of the vanilla and coffee and cocoa and all these products are produced, these ingredients. So you have companies like that with storefronts around the perimeter, and then out in the middle you have kiosks like at the airport, and that would be for smaller companies that maybe couldn't handle a whole storefront, but a kiosk, they could fill up a kiosk. And then other shelving that's for the companies that have maybe 1 or 2 or 3 products, and we would manage that as a department store. But you've got events going on, you've got speakers, you've got a food court where it's all organic, vegetarian food, locally sourced, with companies that are the same companies that come and do the food court at the Green Festival. We've already got them lined up. They're already saying to me, hey, you've been talking about this Green Mart Eco Mall. We're ready, get it going. And the basic strategy is platform. Produce a professionally produced platform where the bathrooms and the janitorial services and the Wi-Fi internet and the lighting and everything is there done by us, so that these small companies can afford to have just the space that they need. We provide professional staffing who understand what the products are about and how to talk to the customers and all that. These companies are producing great products. The goods and services are really good quality, but they're too small to be able to afford a really good location on Market Street or any main street in the United States. So my approach is produce platforms, whether it's an online platform on the internet, like we have on our websites, or we actually have a building in Second Life, 3-dimensional, that we want to do an eco mall there. So it'd be open 24/7, 365, 3-dimensionally, where you can walk through with your avatar. And the same thing, exhibit booths of different companies and media companies, whatever. You click on one of the booths, it pops up their website, but you're still in amongst all the others. And then you can look, if you want to order something, you order it, but you don't leave. Right now, with 2-dimensional websites, to go to your website, I have to leave my website. And even with a lot of tabs open, I still have to leave one to go to the other. The Second Life 3-dimensional website is good in that your avatar can walk around and sample a whole bunch of websites all in one place. So the basic strategy is platform for convergence of small enterprises.
Wow, what a novel concept. Now, when I was researching that, there seems to be a strong component of teaching also tied into this whole thing, right? And being a PhD yourself, having spent time in school researching, what is the connection here between what you're trying to do and the teachers and the teaching and the education community?
Yeah. In the pollution abatement industry, they will always say, go to the source of the pollution. Get as close to the source of the pollution as possible. You don't go downstream and try and affect it once it's out into the river. You don't stand outside the factory at the pipeline trying to, we call it end of pipeline politics. You go into the factory and you change it at the source. Well, the source of all pollution is right here. Bad design, bad thinking, bad consciousness. I've talked with some very rich people who are very powerful real estate development people, and when I bring up the issue of global warming and ocean levels rising and what that's going to do to the real estate industry, this one guy says to me, "You believe that stuff?" Science! Thousands of glaciologists and meteorologists, the data is there. Global warming is happening. The temperature's going up. Ocean levels are going to rise. Greenland is melting. Greenland alone melting raises ocean levels 23 feet. Miami, Houston, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, major sections of New York and San Francisco go underwater. That's going to happen. That's not me predicting. It's going to happen. Even if we stopped all the factories and cars right now, that will still take place. That's going to drive people in the direction of the green economy. As the natural resource base gets depleted, the profitability of saving resources or developing renewable substitutes, that profitability goes up. And that's inevitable. But the general trend line, you can see it. It's moving in the direction of sustainability. So my approach is, let's get the surfboard up before the wave breaks. And that surfboard is platforms, either a weekend event platform like the Green Festival, a retail platform like the Green Mart Eco Mall, or a building platform in the terms of Global Citizen Center. If you go to any city and you look at these tall buildings, you've got vertical density, you've got offices above a ground floor retail. There's no integration between these organizations and the ground floor retail. They could all be saying, come to this address, because there's an event space in the back where we're having a talk tonight, or a film, or yoga, or a hip-hop concert, or whatever. The fact that they don't utilize that vertical integration, to me, is just stupid. So the Global Citizen Center idea is to integrate what's above with what's below and make it a unified structure instead of just a way to make money.
Okay, and you mentioned the corruption of the mind, right, or the pollution of the mind, which is where it begins. So if you look at the youth, the folks who are in our schools today, do you feel, our education system is doing enough to prepare them for some of these eventualities, but more importantly, to think through those eventualities and come with outcome-based solutions?
Yeah.
Do you think that's being done enough?
It's very contradictory. Like everything in society, it's contradictory, and if you can't hold two opposing thoughts in your head at the same time, there's no way to understand it. On the one hand, the education system is way out of date. If you look at the structure of our education system, it was designed for a 19th century industrial model. You've got kids sitting in rows, be quiet, don't talk, don't pass notes. They're on Twitter and Facebook, it's stupid. Understaffed, undertrained teachers in poor facilities, without the best equipment. And you've actually got two systems, a private system where the elites can send their children, and then the public schools for the rest, like my two daughters went through the public system. Well, that helps maintain the class structure because these kids, the rich kids, are getting better education. But contrasted to that anachronistic style of the education system is the kids themselves. And the kids themselves are amazing. We've done work in the high schools here in San Francisco, and we make green festivals free for anybody under 18. We give lots of free tickets out. Teachers get in free, etc. And what we see is a real deep yearning to be relevant and to do things to help save the environment, because these kids realize they're going to be running the world when Miami is going underwater and Houston's going underwater. And environmental refugees, you look at the population of Indonesia, it's 80-some% within a few feet of sea level along the coast. Bangladesh, huge portion of the population is within a meter of sea level. Already there are more environmental refugees now than war refugees. There's a new film about climate refugees. This is going to be hundreds of millions of people needing to move. Major pieces of expensive real estate are going to be threatened. And the changes are not going to come just when ocean levels rise. The changes are going to hit the real estate market when the knowledge of that future ocean level. Already there are places on the east coast of the United States where homeowners can't get home insurance because of rising ocean levels and increased turbidity, more hurricanes. So this is going to affect people in really serious ways. These kids, a lot of them understand it because they see what's going on, and they've also seen things like recycling and composting and nutrition labels on food. We didn't have that. When I was a kid in New Jersey, I grew up in a rural area, the DDT trucks would come and blow big plumes of DDT, and us kids would run in and out of the smoke. And no adult said, hey, don't do that, you could die from that. So I know what I'm going to die from. But now the level of knowledge plus the internet changes everything. Human communication had two forms, one-to-one, and telephones were one-to-one. And then there was one-to-many, radio and television. Now we have many-to-many. And so you get knowledge being fractal. Any one human being can connect with any other human being as long as they can get access to the technology. And then technology is spreading, it's getting cheaper and faster and better all the time. So we're seeing an acceleration of the pace of change. If somebody had told me 10 years ago that Hosni Mubarak, the head of Egypt, would be in jail because of a popular uprising that was largely non-violent on the part of the protesters, I would have said, what are you drinking or smoking, So things are accelerating and we have to adapt to that. And the younger generation, they understand that.